Minister to realistically look at it very well. Let's make a statement that Nigerians will actually believe in what we're doing. We know what we are doing, and there is no any other better way to do it now than the way we are doing it. So the comfort is for us to give Nigerians the language they will understand very well, so that by the time they see the inflation coming down, they will believe that we have said it. So, Senator...
Can I clarify that? Let me clarify the misconception that Mr. Chairman introduced. Of course, with the little you know about my antecedents, I believe you know that I know. No, apart from that I know that when we are discussing economic issues and so on, we are one government. But you see, the gentleman there is representing the executive arm. That's why we are seated this way. So when I said your government, I know we are the Senate of the Federal Republic, but he's spokesperson defending the policies of the executive arm, which I did not contribute to, which I don't think you contributed to, except maybe as a party man. Okay. So those are the things I mean. Thank you.
Thank you, distinguished. Dandusi. Sorry.
And the government to cooperate, and also to ensure that the government policies supported most of the sectors that really need, like agriculture, because most of the problems Nigerians are having now is on food security. And as a matter of fact, that sector need to be addressed in terms of processing and in terms of facing the challenges they are having. And at the same time, if you go by the discussion we have and the presentation by most of the generating agencies, in 2024, they have reached the target of the budget, but the problems in terms of the funding, which our colleagues have discussed, because most of the Nigerians depend on the capital component of the budget, because some of them are not government workers. The government workers are representing less than 10% of Nigerians. So there is need in 2025, and the extension of the 2024 budget should be look in terms of capital spending, and also to ensure that people that are out of government who used to go to get their daily means, they depend solely on their capital component. So, Honorable Minister, you need to do more on that direction, because even your ministry is only 25% or less than 30% of the budget, Mr. Chairman. I think these are the major challenges we need to address.
Thank you. Sas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me start on a note of commendation for the Honorable Minister and the team for the courage to take some of those very difficult economic reform decisions and the tenacity to stay the course. Our country is at a point where we have choices of the easy, to take the easy decisions that would meet with general applause, but will have very devastating consequences down the line, or to take some of those decisions, the reforms that you are taking now, that will occasion some immediate pains, but long term is good for the health of our economy and of our country. So continue with the courage, but I also enjoin you to do more engagement and communication with the Nigerian people so that they will understand that at the end of the day, these decisions will pay. And I think the indications are already on the way. But we must continue to engage, we must continue to communicate. Having said that, there are two areas of concern for me, and I put this across to you as the coordinating minister of the economy, and I also speak in this regard as a member of this committee and the chairman of the Senate Committee on ICT. A cursory look at our budget, whether 2023, 2024, or even the proposal now, you will see a lot of proliferation of ICT projects under different guise: automation, office equipment, digitization, e-library. And when you sum all of these together, they appear to be small amounts, 50 million, 20 million, 150 million. When you put them together, they become very large sums of money. And some of these digitization efforts could as well be centralized in such a manner that we get economy of scale, and we are also able to negotiate something like enterprise-wide agreement with the OEMs, rather than individual MDAs and agencies buying some of this equipment. The second part of it, which is even more concerning, is the fact that most of these projects, when they come every year, you see ongoing. You bought laptops last year, ongoing this year. You buy another set of laptops this year, ongoing. Do we have an asset register that will capture some of these equipment in whatever ministries and agencies that they exist? Because they are not consumables. They are not consumables that you buy this year and they come next year and say ongoing. So these are the two areas I would like the Honorable Minister, in your role as the coordinating minister of the economy, to look at, to streamline some of the digitization process to ensure that we get an economy of scale and we're in control, and to also have a reliable fixed asset register, particularly for some of these equipment that are bought in different ministries and agencies.
Distinguished Senator Ningi.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. My name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I'm from Bauchi State. Honorable Minister, let me put it on record and personally commend you for your very exemplary attention to the issues of invitation to the National Assembly. You, more than any other minister, has attended invitation to the National Assembly and from our investigation, including the House of Reps. I think that is really exemplary, and I commend you on that. Two things actually bothered me. You have also touched about the issue of enveloping. The envelope system was actually developed 21 years ago during President Olusegun Obasanjo's tenure in terms of prioritizing because of lack of adequate funding. I think after 2 decades, we need to sit down and revisit it, review it, and in particular, pay attention to the issues that has to do with our security. The police were here last week, and if you look at their budget, and you expect them to do anything with a budget of less than $1 trillion, less than 30 million US dollars, I think we're deceiving ourselves. I'm sure the committee and the executive body will have to sit down and try to bring out some of these agents, particularly the security agencies, in my opinion, I don't know other agencies, that must not attract this enveloping. If we continue with this envelope and spreading our resources and leaving the security situation open-ended, we will go nowhere. Secondly, sir, there was an attempt by you also to try to bring about this centralized payment system, this bottom-up approach. Honorable Minister, it's not working. You know, probably there are reasons why we try to adopt that one. And one of the basic reasons was probably maybe to reduce corruption and bring everybody online. First, those officers that are supposed to do these processes are not actually sensitized. They don't have the wherewithal, they don't have the know-how. Secondly, And unfortunately, in trying to run away from a smaller corruption, we have nosedive into bigger one. The Accountant General as a person may not know what is happening, but contractors come to us and inform us what is happening. The little corruption in the agencies and ministries that you have noticed that probably brought the attention to bring about this centralized working system. The centralized system is awesome. It is not working. There is still a bottleneck of corruption, unless that is corrected. And I want us to reflect with the House Committee, find a way to alter this centralized working system and try to make sure that the windows of corruption are actually reduced minimally. We are Nigerians, we know who we are, we know what we are, we know what we do. In everything that we do, there are elements of this corruption. But we must be able, as Nigerians, to be able to minimize it to the level that it is not because I have not made it, that's why I have not been paid. No, it is because I have not paid enough money, bribe, that's why I could not get my money. That should not be. Once you make standards, let's minimize this as much as possible. I'm sure these are questions going forward. I'm sure before the midterm oversight by June, July, we must be able to make sure that in 2026, we revisit the issue of enveloping. We also revisit this issue of centralized working system. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Yeah. Last question for this session, then we'll come back again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Senator Engineer Kenneth Eze. I represent the good people of Ebonyi Central Senatorial Zone. Honorable Minister, let me join distinguished Senator Ningi to commend you for your consistency in coming anytime you are invited, and to equally plead with you that anytime we invite you, let's be somehow better from the way you are invited. Because you always leave us at the same level. Nigerians expect much anytime you are before us, because the economy revolves around you, and that's the key factor. So I want to thank you. And my question is very simple. Can you factually tell us, or maybe liaising with your Accountant General, to tell us the percentage of releases, especially capital, in 2024 budget, and an assurance that we are going to exhaust that budget cycle within the 6 months left? I want you to be factual, because people will always say, you know how to go around it. By the end of the day, you leave us where we are. Let's be more factual, please. It's very important. The economy is very sensitive. We want to know the level of releases of the general budget of 2024 and where we are and how we can be able to exhaust that cycle without extending it again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my distinguished colleagues. From my distinguished colleagues that have asked questions, if you aggregate to see the direction of all the questions is towards, almost 70% of the questions is towards the performance of the Appropriation Act 2024. And I believe that the Honorable Minister will have something new today to tell you, since you said you kept hearing the same thing. So, Honorable Minister, you'll be ready to give some new this. But before you go on, there are some of my colleagues that just came in. Let them quickly introduce themselves so that we can move on.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, distinguished colleagues. Honorable Minister, my name is Mohammed Ogoshi Onao. I represent Nasarawa South.
Distinguished Chair, distinguished colleagues, Simon, Honorable Minister of State and the Senior and the Prime Minister. They say it's coordinating of Prime Minister. Simon Lalong, representing the good people of Plateau South. a member of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, Honorable Minister of State, and other invited guests. Ide Dafinone, representing Delta Central.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, very distinguished colleagues, Honorable Minister of State, Captain General, and others. I am Issa Jibrin, representing Kogi East. You are all welcome.
Yes. Okay.
Good day, everybody. All protocols duly observed. My name is Senator Professor Anthony Ani. I represent all the people of Ebonyi South.
Thank you very much, distinguished chairman of our committee, distinguished colleagues, Honorable Minister for Finance, Honorable Minister of State. My name is Senator Victor Ume, OFR. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. I am a member of this committee. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Yeah, the tallest cap.
Mr. Chairman, I hope I've observed all other protocols. From Ekiti State, representing Ekiti South Senatorial District, my name is Senator Yemi Adaramodu. I've been a very conscientious member of this committee. Good morning, seriously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleague, the Honorable Minister, and your team, and Accountant General. I remain Senator Engineer Kenneth Eze. I represent the good people of Ebonyi Central Senatorial Zone. I'm a member of this committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my colleagues, Honorable Minister and his team. My name is Karime Sunday Steve. I represent the people of Kogi West.
See me. Distinguished chairman, distinguished colleagues, my Egbon, the Honorable Minister, and my sister, the Honorable Minister of State, and members of your team. I remain Senator Ahmed Wadada Aliyu, Sarkin Yakin Kefi, the famous horse rider, a member of this committee and a friend to the committee. Thank you.
Chairman, distinguished colleagues, Honorable Minister of State, Accountant General, Permanent Secretaries, and other dignitaries. I'm Abdulaziz Musa Adwa, member of this committee, representing Abdulaziz Musa Adwa. Remember, today is Monday. I'm a member of this committee.
Distinguished Chairman, distinguished colleagues, our guest, I remain Dr. Yunus Biodun Akitude. I'm from Oyo Empire. I represent Oyo Central. Oyo Empire. I represent Oyo Central.
That was old Oyo Empire.
The chairman, distinguished colleagues, our invited guests, my name is Senator Saliu Mustafa. I represent Kwara Central. Thank you.
Chairman. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, sir. Mr. Chairman, sir. Sorry, since we are in a budget session, budget season, I don't know if there could be a better time for me to, there won't be a better time for me to ask the minister this question, but just now, just so that he can round up. It's very
Coming to second round.
okay.
Should I introduce myself? Chairman. Chairman, my distinguished colleagues, Honorable Minister and his team, my name is Ikra Ali Bilibis, representing Zamfara Central, Zamfara State. Excellent to the world.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman, Vice Chairman, Senate Committee on Finance, and distinguished members, including those who have just introduced themselves. Thank you. I think, just as you rightly said, Mr. Chairman, the conversation, the questions are leaning in a certain direction, and we don't intend to evade any. So the issue of the capital budget, performance of it, which we agree still has time to run. There was a time, for those who are interested in sports, that Senator Abiru's team was 2-0 up, and it looked all was lost. But the others' team caught up. So with this, the aim is to catch up by June 2025 with the capital expenditure planned and appropriated initially in 2024. There is hope, there is commitment. And I'll explain where the funding is expected to come from, because it is not just an empty hope. But if you permit me, it takes going back down memory lane. In May 2023, before His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took over, the country was fiscally, economically going fast downhill. Some people would use the word finished, and I'll tell you why. Oil revenue, the mainstay, oil production was at 1.2 million barrels and going down. Insecurity stopped the land. Agricultural production was down. How was the government getting by, including maybe paying capital releases? It was living a false existence. When a payment needed to be made by the government, they simply printed the money. Central Bank simply credited the government's account. Of course, that was and is any day the road to total crisis. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he saved the economy, he saved the society. How did he save the economy? In his time, every penny spent has been earned or has been procured in the financial markets on willing buyer, willing seller terms. Because they believed in his macroeconomic plan, the multilateral institutions, the repositories of the cheapest money internationally, 40 years to pay back, 10 years moratorium, 1% interest. We approached them, they looked at our plan, and they believed in it, and they provided funding. Then the bilateral institutions, a bit more expensive, provided funding. Then Nigerians, through issue of a domestic issuance of dollar bonds, they too believed in a macroeconomic policy. They brought funds from abroad. They too supported. And finally, we had a resounding outing at the Eurobond market. So Nigeria, since May 2020, has been paying its way. Central Bank does not allow debit above the legal limit. It doesn't allow debiting of government's account in order to make payments. And so, all payments have been made in the proper manner, which is fiscally sustainable, since May 29, 2023. In addition, and in order to have a stable macroeconomic environment, the wasteful expenditure up to 5% of GDP. If you take GDP at roughly 400 billion, then that 5% is $20 billion was going on 2 subsidies. As we know, the petroleum subsidy and the foreign exchange. So that was $20 billion going to a few people that was retrieved to the Nigerian purse. But let us be frank with ourselves. It was not done on one day. The explanation, Mr. Chairman, of where the money will come from now is that that saving was not done on one day. It took time. But by October 2, 2024, you had market pricing of foreign exchange, market pricing of petroleum products, and the money has started flowing. That's where it's coming from. NNPC today is at 1.8 million barrels per day. That's where the funding will come from. The price is...
Sorry, Honorable Minister, as at October...
Yes.
As at October 2024, there was stabilization.
Yes.
Can you also add, between October and today, was there any increase in the CRF? And if there was, how did it go? Is it going to the federal government, or it's been also shared among the states? Because what you are trying to say is that there is more money into the economy. So Nigerians need to know where that money is.
We have had, let's say, 3 months in which we have had higher flows, and everybody saw it. Last month, the Federation account shared 1.7 trillion naira. The governor of Central Bank was alarmed because one of the things that is inflationary is too much money chasing too few goods. And that is why, Mr. Chairman, I was just trying. And so let me go back to say, because it's important that what we say resonates. I said the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu changed the Nigerian society. I have to explain. Before the advent of President Tinubu, for 40 years or more, when I started my career, what you did was you attacked the distortions that were in the Nigerian economy. You either tried to get an allocation of foreign exchange. It's important, Mr. Chairman.
Honourable Minister, I asked you a very direct question.
But I've answered it.
And that question is that after October, there is more revenue.
Yes.
And that revenue is not just going to one tier of government.
Well, I've explained it, sir.
Okay.
I said, for example, 1.7 trillion came in and was shared. Not came in. There were still savings. It came in. That money comes into the Federation account. And we saw the spike up such that there were even inflationary fears. So the point to be made there is that having worked so determinedly to ensure that the revenue that belongs to the Federation comes in to the Federation and is not dissipated elsewhere, certainly we'll make sure that those funds that are due are not now dissipated or held by NNPC or anybody else. I think that's the answer to that. But Mr. Chairman, sir, let me finish. The society is no longer one where you can seek rent. It is no longer one where you can look for an allocation of foreign exchange from Central Bank or anywhere else that will be below market, that you will sell and double your money. The society is no longer one where you get to NNPC, get a piece of paper and sell it for $250,000 because that's the arbitrage that was there. That's the change in the society. But based on that, and I think I've said the capital expenditure for next year, where will it come from? Increased and I'll just run through it. Increased oil production at elevated high prices that we have now. Non-oil revenue, particularly from government-owned enterprises. Higher taxes from tax revenue because companies have started to invest again now. They have a stable environment. And also, we are crowding in international direct investment, international private-public partnerships for infrastructure in particular. And on our own, we have mobilized Nigerian savings to put in place what should be a housing construction boom, because for the first time, perhaps in this economy, but for a long time, you will have low interest mortgage finance where people can borrow at low interest rates for long periods and purchase houses. That will ignite a construction, I would like to say boom, but definitely construction activity will increase. And we all know the multiplier effect. So in a nutshell, the optimism is based on the fundamentals that we see opening up in the Nigerian economy. And once again, inflation is a key target to bring it down to affordable levels and reasonable levels. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I believe you have you've answered a lot of the questions. And let me clarify the comment I was making when I interjected you. Actually, is that by October to now, more money have come into the federal government corpus. We've taken loans at very good conditions and terms. There's so much money. But what I had wanted is that the reflection of that money Nigerians want to see. And Nigerians should not only believe that Minister of Finance or the federal government will make things differently. The subnationals too take a lot of shares out of what the kitty of these funds that came in. So the emphasis is that if we want inflation to go down, definitely the role is not just at the center, but also the subnationals have to play major roles so that we can now bring down this inflation. I believe this is what my distinguished colleagues wanted to. Now we will have two more questions. Three. No, it's allowed. I chair this committee. So allow me to do it the way I want it. My vice chairman will now talk. Karimi, you have spoken, but I will give you another second chance. Senator Ochocho, you have spoken, right? Okay, you will speak. Then Wadada will make his comment. Don't worry, I'm in control. Don't worry.
Well, thank you very much, the chairman, our very distinguished colleagues, our very highly respected Minister of Finance and the Coordinator of the Economy, these officers and that team. You see, we want to appreciate you for giving a lot of insightful explanation to our concern. And I think you have to know why people are talking like this. You are in charge of the economy of Nigeria. People are asking a lot of questions. And we see a good opportunity today, since you are here with this powerful team, to pour them out to you, so that they listen to you and know where Nigeria is going. But out of the question people have asked, I want to emphasize one. Yes, we thank God that since October, more money are coming in, and we are seeing it in the distributables that goes to state and local government and federal. But there's still one important question that is yet to be answered. People have asked, we have asked this question several times. And I'm happy that the Accountant General is here. And that is the mode of payment that is being centralized. For all the ministries and MDAs in the country to come to one office for payment, it put too much pressure. And when there are too much pressure on the system, you have corruption. You are dealing with human beings. All the agencies will upload the payment to one office, and that office will have to pay everybody. And their own hour is not more than 24, it's not more than the normal hour. You people are restless. There will be corner. And the people who cannot do that will start blaming us. Is there no way of reducing this pressure? I want to give an example. Later, sometimes last year, the FCT minister complained that things are not working because of the TSA for the FCT. And the FCT was removed from the TSA. They were having their own freedom, and things started moving faster than it was before. There is no way, even if we have times 10 of the money we have now, everything in one place, it is practically difficult for one office in a General office to start paying all the MDAs, and we expect it to move fast. Now, sir, 2023 budget, most of the projects have been done. Some of them are yet to be paid. 2024 has been extended to June. We are now going to start 2025, making 3 budgets together. Everything we uploaded to Accountant General's office for payment. If we need to adjust this payment, don't let us feel shy. Whatever will reduce the tension on any office should be done for the progress of the country and then the betterment for the budget. Second, sir, sometime last year, during the MTF, we talk about how to redeem some of the promissory notes that we have for some programs and some outstandings to reduce the burden of this on the debt. I don't know how far we have gone on that, because the amount we are spending on this loan is what is burdening the people every time. We want to know so that when they ask us questions, we know the answer we're still going to give them. And finally, people have said it, I just want to emphasize. The issue of envelope system, it doesn't take us as a serious country. I think budget in some other climate, we are very economy that are not even bigger than us in Africa, if not to go far. I think budget are premised on needs, on our own priorities, not spreading. Somebody who needs 10 billion, you give him an envelope of 100 million. What I think there is to go and furnish that one without anything to come out of it. I think we should prioritize our need and let that money be spent on our higher priority so that everybody will see the effect of that expenditure instead of spreading them and nothing come out of it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think let me moderate this hearing. If your question has to do with the budget in terms of release or anything, I think we have discussed that at length. The minister has spoken about that. So if it is leaning towards there, I think everything that needs to be asked has been asked. So let's talk about other things. If it's other things, then I will give the floor. Okay, let's now agree. Maybe we take 2 from this side and 2 from this side, and we close this session.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Distinguished Chair. Honorable Prime Minister.
Honorable Minister. No, Honorable Minister.
Honorable Minister.
Maybe I don't want to say it. Maybe PDP has a Prime Minister, but we don't have a Prime Minister.
Okay, coordinating minister. I'm copying from the DG campaign and APC member.
No, he has no right. He's a minority. He can't say that.
Yes, I want to join my colleagues in commending your consistent effort in appearing before all the committees of the Senate that you have been invited. I say this on a very serious note because some of your ministers, when they are invited, they don't respond, they don't even send people to say this is why they're not coming. And you, who is coordinating, anytime you hear an invitation, no matter the level of the committee you appear, I appreciate that, and may God continue to guide you. My question is, in the effort of the present administration under the leadership of Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu to drive the economy and a renewed agenda for the country, there is need and concerted efforts to diversify the economy. But in the budgetary provisions, there are some critical ministries, like solid minerals, arts and culture, and many more that are capable of supplementing or complementing what the oil sector is doing. For example, arts and culture. As it is seen, there are many countries today that do not have oil, but are existing and running their economies successfully. Here, arts and culture are capable of contributing billions, or if not trillions of naira to our economy on a yearly basis. In one of our galleries visited recently, art pieces, just about 3, were valued at 1-point-something billion. The 3 each costing about $400 million. Some are valued in millions or billions in euro. Now, but if you come to look at their budget, you will find that it's so paltry, and even they don't even have offices. They don't even have places to keep these artifacts. I don't know if this is right. I don't know if that is encouraging enough for them to generate revenue. If you look at solid minerals, I was just going through the the internet, and I saw that Saudi Arabia, despite their revenue from oil, have discovered lithium, and they are projecting that they will earn 2-point-something trillion from lithium. This is because they have invested money in that area to get data to be able to project that much. Here,
so round up.
Not much is being given to solid minerals to get enough data to be able to market to the world. I don't know why this is so.
Round up, distinguished.
Thank you very much. So I will appreciate if the coordinating minister will look at this area in empowering some of these ministries that are looked as being small, because they spend all their budgetary provisions in paying salaries, while they can earn more money than what oil earns. Thank you very much.
Thank you, most distinguished. Honorable.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Minister, you did mention some minutes ago that given the more positive perception of Nigeria, okay, in the international market, that you were able to raise about a substantial amount of money, okay, for a 40-year tenure, 10 years moratorium, and at 1%. Now, looking at your debt profile, given this renewed perception about Nigeria, is there a way you can refinance some of the debts you inherited? Okay? Refinance, yes. You can refinance some of the debts you inherited with less expensive loans. Because that will, in a way, reduce the overall cost of our debt servicing. Is there a way? That is, if there's also provision for early redemption. Okay, we have to study the terms. If there is provision for early redemption, okay, of those loans. You can refinance with much more cheaper loans now that the Nigerian economy is being perceived, okay, as having improved in terms of credit rating. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Honorable Minister, you will agree with me that this government is one of the government that is misunderstood, misconstrued by Nigeria. While the government is making effort to improve our economy, considering where we started from. You just said it, that for 40 years, this is the first time that we are having a government that has approved governance in a way to move Nigeria forward. You said it. The fact that we came from a situation whereby we are printing money to sustain the economy. We are selling dollars all over the place. It started from the government Buhari took over from. Buhari tried to salvage it. He was not able to do anything. But this government has brought stability to our economy. What can we do to militate the immediate suffering of Nigerians? This government is doing well. At the end of it, Nigeria will be better off. But Nigerians, they are not understanding enough. They are only thinking of the immediate suffering. So what do we do so that the effort of this government will be better understood by Nigerians? Thank you.
Honorable Wadada.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister, let me start by saying the commendations you have received from my colleagues inform why you are my Egbon. Having said that, the chairman provided a guide to you, which of course has got to do with the inflow into consolidated revenue funds. And then in the course of your presentation, you talked about ways and means. Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, we must do all we can to reverse and to also stop the happenings around ways and means. Like I presented on the floor of the Senate, so far to now, more than 6 trillion has been taken from consolidated revenue funds as charges on the basis of interest on these ways and means because they securitized it with DMO. We must. You can imagine if CRF is enriched by even 50% of that amount, that will be 3 trillion to be shared. That will lead to the succor that Nigerians demand or require or need. Secondly, sometime last year, we were all approached here as members of the National Assembly to provide list for the token of 50,000 naira to be paid to citizens. We are politicians. We gave the names. Every day we are under pressure. Nigerians don't get that fund because today it is under your office. My Egbon, do the needful. Let it go round so that we'll be happier.
Thank you, Moses.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. No economy thrives or develops without the real sector being very active and functional. Honorable Minister and coordinating Minister, I need us to revisit the Finance Act 2021, which reduced, no, 2020, which reduced tariff on importation of vehicles from 35% to 5%. Meanwhile, the reason for it being as high as 35% was to discourage importation and encourage local manufacturing. For crying out loud, Nigeria should be at the level of CKD now. The SKD that we were struggling on has been completely bastardized by the provision of that act because it opened up all the windows of importation into Nigeria. That has put so much pressure on the automobile sector. And automobile sector is one of the major employers of labor and then very active part of the real sector. Honorable Minister, coordinating Minister, this my...
Thank you, most distinguished Senator Lalong. Then, no, don't worry. My colleagues can collectively overrule. So, Senator Lalong, then Senator Eradua, and the last person will be Senator Saliu Mustafa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The Honorable Minister, my own is concerned to Nigerians. You are the coordinating minister. You are supposed to coordinate up to the grassroots. Many people are worried. By now, with the judgment of the Supreme Court on local governments, your eye should get up to the grassroots. We are wondering whether you are really in any way preparing to implement this judgment. Because each month they will give one reason or the other why money is not going to local governments directly. Why money is not going to local governments directly. By now, we should expect that money should go to them so that we start monitoring. You monitor very well what is happening to grassroots. Because most of the things that we mentioned, where that this money is going, but it stops somewhere, there's always a gap. The Accountant General is here. This one, I started reading again, that for one reason or the other. Please, if I'm not making any point, I will reserve myself. We are beginning to see that there's one reason or the other why money should not be paid.
Senator Karimi, I will rule you out.
So let us know. If we are not paying, then we know that anytime we run to Supreme Court, they give judgment, the judgment becomes useless. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My distinguished colleagues, Honorable Minister, mine is on the issue of envelope budget. And I think it's very important this envelope budget is reviewed to exclude the military and the police that were seated here conducting this budget defense is because the security forces are working with the little and meager resources that they are given. If some agencies or commissions can be placed on first-line charge, I don't know why the military, especially, and the police are still being placed under this envelope budget. We have to look at the security situation today. Our neighbors, some of the Francophone countries that are neighbors to us, are becoming hostile. We are dealing with internal insurgency. Our military are also preparing right now to see how they can deal with the external forces within our borders. And here we are placing them under envelope budget, where they have to procure equipment that will take 6 to 8 months for them to get here. Security is very dynamic and I want to plead that it's very important we get the military and the police out of the envelope budget so that they get more resources to be able to secure this nation. Thank you.
Last one, Senator Salim Mustafa.
Chairman, honorable colleagues, invited ministers, my own would be for us to draw a caution on our assets. At this time or at this junction of our striving economy, we have a lot of assets that we are not optimizing. I don't know if MOFI under you has a database of the assets that are working and the ones that are not working. What are we doing with some of them? Why are we still keeping them as liabilities? Because if we need money and we have assets that we are not making use of, then we're only wasting or we're only spending money on liabilities. So I would want the ministry to also look into this and see how we can take advantage of some of these assets we have. And then to also collaborate with my distinguished colleague who spoke about the envelope approach. It's unfortunate that the budget has come before us now, and we will do with what we have. But at the same time, I think from the executive side, there should be some improvement so that we can have budgets that can work for the people. In the Ministry of Agri, they are also suffering the same approach. And if we say we are preparing the land, we are securing everywhere, we must also help to fund. I'm saying this because you are the coordinating minister of the economy. How I wish the budget minister is also here. We must be able to fund, like a colleague said, we can manage health, we can manage education, we can manage every other aspect of our life, but we cannot manage hunger. And that hunger is what will drive, us to severe consequences that we might be running away from. So please, sir, let's look at the assets and let's look at this funding issue. If we say we are making more money, we have more money, let it reflect in some of the aspiration or desires of the people.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So that's the end of the questions. Honorable Minister, please try to see how you can squeeze 2 minutes to do it, to respond. Because we have the Office of Accountant General of the Federation, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, Fiscal Responsibility Commission, and Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading to look at their budgets too. So quickly do so that we can look at your budget proposal at the committee level, consider it, approve it, and then we will allow you to take your leave.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, distinguished senators, for all your questions. First of all, there's only one budget, the amended 2024 budget, as passed by the National Assembly. On the overall issue of financing of debt, definitely, as Senator Mustafa just said, optimization of assets, bringing in of equity is the order of the day. Having stabilized an economy to a large extent, still committed to the fight against inflation, which on behalf of Nigerians, the government will win, will bring down food prices, will make food more affordable and available. Within that context, the growth of the Nigerian economy is to come from investment, private sector investment. The government spending, prioritization of its projects will be on major infrastructure, including digital infrastructure, fiber optic network, in order to make the economy more productive so that it can grow, create jobs, and reduce poverty, which is the overall goal of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I think the questions on the envelope system, it's something that will have to be reviewed, but I will say this, technology is the way. When you look at the history of Lagos and what happened, it was the application of technology to revenue gathering, collecting, monitoring in particular, and I think is no different these days in which we have generative AI. Yes, the policies of the president are working, but they do take time. Even when you go through a physical, let's say, physical operation, you are on the mend, but there will be the pain at first, and it will ameliorate over time. It will be no different for the Nigerian economy and Nigerians. And finally, because there is elevated inflation at this time, His Excellency has intervened for farmers, for the social society. The direct payments that you talked about are being ramped up. The payments to individuals, the loans to students, the CNG buses for workers, and the relatively low interest loans for small scale business in particular. These are all interventions to ameliorate the situation of the relatively high cost of living, which is coming down and is predicted to come down, as we have said earlier today. So much brighter times are ahead for the Nigerian economy, the Nigerian society, the people of Nigeria. Thank you.
No clapping here.
Honourable Minister, don't worry, we won't find you because you don't know. So, my distinguished colleagues, the Honourable Minister, we have heard you and we have looked at your budget 2025 proposal here. And in the view of the committee, we actually scrutinized them and we found that you actually need these things that you have presented before us. And I will do it here with the descriptions. Your personnel cost was put in at the cost of 2 billion. Is it billion? Okay, 2 billion. Yeah. No, 2 billion. That's what I'm seeing here.
Oh, yeah, personnel.
It's personnel. 2 billion 495. Oh, you have something different there? Okay. Because I'll be surprised if don't worry, he will answer the question. I think he has answered it in a way, but I will explain to you. My most distinguished colleagues, we still have our 4 agencies after Ministry of Finance. Exactly. Okay. All right. So, Honorable Minister, your budget with a personnel cost of 2.4 billion, an overhead of 8.5 billion, and a capital of 27.4 billion. Is it the opinion of the committee that we approve this proposal? Those in support say yeah. And those against, the ayes have it. There is no motion here. There is no motion. He presented it. He presented it, and we approve it. I gave the motion, and I approve it. So, Honorable Minister, we did this based on the fact that most of my colleagues commended you. Your integrity was what also added to their conviction that what you presented to us is exactly and meticulously what you want to spend in the Federal Ministry of Finance in driving the economy. Looking at it also that the revenue to GDP have increased. In 2022, 2021 was 7%. In 2023 became 9-point-something%, and now we have it at 10.5. That proves that the economy is working. If you look at also the debt to GDP ratio, it has increased from the 44, less than 44 to 55, though both are less in average to what is expected with other African countries, if you look at it. So there is also need for us to improve. We need to look at the expenditures. Even from the ministry, if you start to nullify some of the unnecessary spendings, you will see that our budgetary system will change. With this now, you can take your leave, Honorable Minister. Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. Madam, come back to where the minister left. The Accountant General of the Federation, please give us a summary of your budget. How was the performance in 2024? And what justification will you give for your proposal for 2025?
Good afternoon, Chairman of the...
Minister, except Minister, you want to sit with the Accountant General?
Okay, good afternoon, Chairman and members of the Senate Committee on Finance. May I, on behalf of the entire Treasury family, of which I have been destined to head at this moment in time, warmly extend my profound greetings and felicitations to the distinguished Chairman and members. The Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, as we all know, is saddled with the Treasury management of the federal government, preparation of the financial statements, custodians of receipts and payments, and also manage the public finance of the federal government. The office is effectively being administered with 21 departments and 4 units, and also run through 37 federal pay offices across the nation with 6 zonal offices. The office, in its budget, 2024 budget, had an appropriation of the personnel cost in 2024 was 5.7 billion. The foreign service allowance to the foreign attaches of 30 regional missions was 7.9 billion naira. Totally 13%. Cost 4.9 billion. Total appropriation for year 2024 was 25.247 billion naira. In the year under review, the personnel cost, which is being administered centrally, was 100%, while that of overhead was also 100%. But the capital that we have was 8.4. Through the bottom-up and able to implement about 4.7. This included 3.7 as committed. That means jobs awarded or procurement processes that are ongoing, while the actual release was 692.8 million naira, while the rest is under the commitment. The internally generated revenue for the year was 107.2 million as against 645 million projected. The breakdown is on the Appendix 5. As I began by stating the the structure of the Office of Accountant General. So I will be using that to discuss when we get to the 2025 budget proposal. Under the 2025 budget proposal, the personnel cost was proposed as follows: 7.876 for the headquarters, federal pay offices and zonal offices. Then 36.3 billion proposed for the foreign service allowances of finance attaches, totaling 44.18 billion. While the overhead cost based on the envelope is 1.436 billion. And the budget proposal for capital cost based on the envelope was 3.09 billion. The total staff strength of the office is 2,388. I want to comment that the foreign service allowance that we have here is the allowances payable to the finance attaches that are in foreign missions, totaling 106, and it is calculated using dollars. So based on the normal rate they are entitled to and converted with the exchange rate, it came to 36.3 billion. While that of headquarters, in view of the increase in salaries, minimum wage, and also the 25 and 35% increase, this also caused the increase in the budget. Like I said earlier, the 2025 budget based on the envelope have been found to be inadequate. We have the breakdown for the overhead on Appendix 9. The 2024 overhead budget and release was 3.002. So invariably, comparing the 2024 and 2025, it will be so difficult to implement and run the office with a sum of 1.4 that was proposed. So we are seeking, if we are not adding to the year 2024 appropriation, we will want to add that this distinguished committee raised our overhead back to 3.002 billion that it was in 2024. Because with 1.4 billion in 2025, we cannot adequately run the office. It is very obvious. Likewise, the capital cost of 1.4 as against the 8.4 billion that was budgeted in 2024 will also not put us in a good shape. We have a series of activities ongoing, like the construction of office building extension, and also construction of lecture theatre at Federal Treasury Academy, Orozo, and also other 3 pay offices that are ongoing. While we have lots of dilapidated buildings being dwelled in by our federal pay offices across the nation. Distinguished chairman and senators of this committee, these are our budget performance for the 2024 and the proposal for 2025. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, the Accountant General of the Federation. Looking at your 2024 budget performance, if you go through the table you presented to us and then you sum it up between January to December 2024, your performance in the capital cost is about 56%. So what is the actual? Because what I'm seeing here, as you put actual, I've not seen in the descriptions the overhead. Was it 100%? The recurrent, was it 100% or is also 56%? I'm looking at Appendix 4. You have it in Appendix 3. So what I'm trying to just say is that your recurrent, your overhead, the release is 100%. 100%. And in those overheads, you have like office stationaries, computers.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. Two of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, so... Oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We are only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Okay, which came up with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Have utilized 56% of your capital.
Yes, sir.
I'm happy you are here when we were taking the Minister of Finance, and because why I want to do it this way, I want to reduce any issue of raising more questions. All the questions that we will ask you, we have asked when the Minister of Finance is here. But now being that directly you are the one in charge of those releases, 56% have been released as capital for Accountant General's office.
No, not released. Based on the bottom-up cash plan, you don't release to MDA. So OAGF is also an MDA, like any other ministry.
So should the committee now take it that 56% have been released capital across board?
No.
So, you know, it's in your budget.
I'm explaining.
Okay.
When we're making this report, we brought in actual payments, which is 692, which is just less than even 10%. of the budget. Then the rest, 4.04, was those that the procurement process have captured but not released for payment. While the 3.7, which is about 44%, is representing the one that we are still procuring.
Okay. Madam, can you go to Appendix 4A?
I'm there.
The last line, summary of capital budget performance as at December 2024. Office of Accountant General achieved the following performance for 2024 budget. 1. Capital cost, January to December 2024, 56%. This is what I'm asking.
It's also there, I'm also there explaining that the table on the basis of which the note you refer to expressly indicated the actual releases, that's the actual payment to contractors, while the column E represent the commitment that those procurement that have been processed but not yet paid.
I know.
So maybe we'll have just.
I know you are the Accountant General of the Federation, and I'm sure you are not the one that prepared this.
Yes, sir.
But whoever prepared this, I'm sure is an accountant too.
Yes, sir.
And we are in the same line. That's my own line too.
Yes, sir.
And what I'm seeing here, does not also justify what you are explaining. You know it very well. So to help you out, this I, you need to expunge it.
Okay.
So that we will work with reality.
Is that right?
And the reality is that 56% was not released.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. So questions, please.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I will want the Accountant General to open Appendix 3C on the budget performance. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You look at local travel and transport training, 106.5 million appropriated, released, and utilized. You also look at the next line, local travel and transport, others. You have 303.7 million appropriated, released, and utilized. Then you come down to training general. You see local training general, 220,205, 150,173,000. Then you come down to, I'm going to name the item, then put my questions across. Then you come down to security services. You have spent 205,257,863 naira. You now open the next page. And the next page, you go to 220,21007, and you have welfare package. A welfare package, the first one carries 228,940,407 and 4 kobo. The next welfare package to FPOS is 317,000,000 434,744.96 kobo. The local training, going back to the questions that I want to put, what do you mean by local travel? They getting welfare package of almost 317 million naira. These are some of the little things that are happening in the budget, all through, not only Accountant General Office. And believe me, Accountant General, when you sit down and bring out some of these subheads, they hardly meet the expectation of the budget, and that is why the budget becomes bogus, and some areas of interest, attention has not been paid. Most of these headlines or clauses, whatever you call them, I think going forward, we must be able to sit down as a country and revisit them. Otherwise, from my experience, and I've been here for a very long time, most of these things are actually monies for the boys. So I want you to also give me your own understanding of what you see. You may not be the one that actually, but this when it appears on the Accountant General's Office budget performance, it begins to be a little bit disturbing. But not disturbing to the egg, but normal disturbance, because it happens in almost everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ide Dafinone, representing Delta Central. I wanted to raise a question arising from the Foreign Service personnel cost. On page 5, under the 2024 budget performance, we see a cost item under Foreign Service, and we mention specifically there 30 attaches. And the total Naira figure there for the 30 attaches is just under 8 billion. If we please then go to Appendix 6, where we have a summary of the budget proposal for 2025. Again, we have a line for Foreign Service attaches, but no number is given. And the amount in the budget for 2025 is 36.3 billion, which is over 4.5 times the budget amount for 2024. Now, I appreciate that our currency has depreciated significantly over the last 1 year, but I don't believe it was up to 4.5 times. And added to that, I would want to know the number of personnel that this is now covering, because I would expect that in view of the rising cost element, there would have been need to merge 1 or 2 jobs in that sector to allow for better use of our scarce foreign exchange. Thank you, Madam.
Madam, I'm sure you've taken notes, because we will want to do it fast. And let me add mine. and make a little clarification. When my distinguished colleague is asking for those subheads, I know those subheads did not emanate from Accountant General's office. It's general when it comes to budget. That is the need. That is the reason why we need to review our budgetary system. And the office of the Accountant General should be one office that will give that direction now. We expect that maybe in the next budget we see changes, because by the time, in accounting, when you are reporting, definitely you give all the subheads. You cannot compare local travel and foreign travel. And you cannot also at the same time put them same. Local travel within Abuja and local travel to Lagos, Sokoto, or other places. And I think that is the reason why you have so many of these subjects like that. But there is need for us to see how we can close this, because most of these expenditures, the time we had this 3-day hearing on revenue, we've been able to find out that these things are loopholes and leakages. So I give you the floor, respond to the 2 questions, and then we look at the budget, and also ask my colleagues if there is justification for the request you are making to increase your capital by 3 billion, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. By 5 billion. All right, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman, and the distinguished senators here. Chairman, you have done justice partly to the question raised by the Senator Ningi on the various budget lines. These budget lines, they have codes, and that is the template being used for budget preparation all over by the federal government, including National Assembly. The first one on LT&T, that's local training and local travel and tours training, is specific for LT&T related to training programs, while the LT&T on others is for other activities that require LT&T that is not training, like if you are carrying assignments in Port Harcourt or in Bauchi or anywhere. So the LT&T others cover all others assignments that requires LT&T that is not training, while that of training is specific for training. Then when you come down to the local training, that local training is for payments of fees, payments for all other activities that are relevant to training.
Not exactly training, but activities that are relevant to training.
Training fees, training preparation for training, the cost of running training, that is what is borne from that local training.
Don't you conduct seminars, symposiums?
They will all come from that local training.
But you conduct them. Do you go for them?
Yes, we do. We do in-house, we do externally.
And because part of why we are raising it is because experience has shown most evidence when they get, including of course National Assembly, is by budget line that they must fill it, even if the training did not take place. And that's why it's important that if you are having a training for the staff as head of the accountant office, necessarily let the committee have information that this is a training, so that by the time we come to the budget defense, we have already understood that there were training. I'm relating this in to some agencies that I personally oversight. I oversight an agency that have not traveled. They have not traveled outside Nigeria throughout last year. By the course of the budget performance defense, I discovered a budget line who suggested they are going for training. So when I raised it to the ET, we went for training where? When? How many people? It became an issue. So I can understand the cost of the technicality of the office. These are things you can do and you can definitely do, and some of the budget line are, in my opinion, even if adequate because of the need of the accountant general's office. But since that is what you are the one who have the money, so I don't have a problem. But then go ahead and give me the idea of this security.
The security service is at the Accountant General's office. We engage private security organizations. We also source for deployment of security personnel from police, from civil defense, from DSS, from FBI, up to man various security. So the private organizations, we pay them the salaries and allowances of. We also have legions, Nigerian legions. The legionnaires are also engaged. So we pay them salaries and allowances, while we pay allowances to those deployed from security organizations that are already in the payroll of their offices. But for mobilizing them, we have transport allowance that we give them. They have a rate at which they are paid. So we pay them on monthly basis. That is what that is being used for.
And then lastly, welfare.
Welfare. From this welfare vote, we pay the repatriation allowance of retired officers. We pay for burial expenses of deceased officers. Then we pay for welfare maybe during the festive period. The officers of the office also have maybe purchase of rice or something for the festive period. That is what the welfare.
I want you to. You have said it. During Christmas, Salah, and New Year, do you share it to all your partners?
Yes.
Then why are they coming to complain?
We are Nigerians.
No. I don't agree with that. When complaints come, one Nigerian, there must be a reason for the complaint. So just address that particular reason for the complaint.
If well, I wouldn't know what the complaint is all
exactly.
Let me just tell you, I think you should concentrate. Your office, because your office oversight and to pretend the entire country. I see this welfare package, and I see what the staff of the Accountant General Office goes through. Because I have brothers, I have relations. Your work is unlike many other civil servants. But at the end of the day, once this welfare is not impacted to them, you don't expect a very high performance from them. So I want you to, I still think this welfare package for the staff, especially during festivities, I think it's grossly inadequate, and you must probably try through the committee or prioritize this budget line to some areas. I'm particularly also concerned about even though you are all married to NHIS, but still a lot of personnel found it almost impossible to be able to cater for their health. So I want you to reflect on that and see where you prioritize and give more welfare package so that is more incentive. As far as I'm concerned, more incentive, more performance. Thank you.
My distinguished colleague, my leader is asking you to put, no, you will. My leader is asking you to ask for more money for welfare. Forgetting that he forgot that here we approved the new minimum wage. I don't know which welfare is talking about again.
The one in the budget.
So,
on the area of finance, foreign service allowance, under the 2024 budget, the provision was for 30 finance attaches that were then managing the 30 regional missions. If you recall that at one point, maybe around 2020, the finance attaches were reduced to 30 regional missions, while each of them is made to cover 3 to 5 missions. But in the year 2024, towards the end, that was changed. The president approved that all the mission, because series of presentations were made from the Foreign Affairs Ministry and from the Ministry of Finance on why the 30 regional missions having finance at for 30 regional was not adequate to cater for the need of the 108 regional, foreign missions. So it was approved and increased to that 98, okay. It was increased to 98 by September 2024. So while the budget for the 2024 had already been prepared using 30 attaches. So in 2025, even in 2024, we have to seek for augmentation to be able to, because another set of 68 missions, finance attaché had to be deployed to man the additional missions created. So in 2025, if you come with me to appendix 8A to C contains the computation of how we arrive at 36 billion for the 98 missions. So that is, and in view of because as at that 2024, the exchange rate was based on 800 naira per dollar, but for 2025 it was based on the 1,500. So the difference is the increase in the number of missions and also the rate of exchange. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam. We have seen your performance in 2024 and your internally generated revenue. We've also touched it, we've seen it. Were you present last week during the revenue hearing? Your office was not represented.
I was.
Oh, you were there? Before the Joint Finance Committee? You were not there?
No.
Was she there?
No, you were not invited.
Clark, you didn't invite her? No, loud now so that we can hear you. Okay, were you unavoidably absent?
I was invited for the purpose of presenting that of Office of Academia, not for the joint when I was invited. So they can check their records.
Okay. What I'm trying to portray is like last week we had hearing with GOEs regarding revenue and also to do with the operating surplus. And we are made to understand that some agencies, you take 50% of whatever they generate to the CRF directly, while others, you are taking 20 or 30%. So we actually want to know exactly why the dichotomy. Some are giving more, some are giving less. I thought there was a circular where it said across board should be 50%. So I think we need to engage on that one so that, because we are talking about revenue. If the Office of Accountant General of the Federation will be asking for more money, then what can Fiscal Responsibility Commission do?
Yeah, but Chairman, that aspect, not answering for her. That aspect has to do with the law. Some agencies, the law now provides them to have 30%, some 50%. So I think...
No, sorry, sir. There is no law. What every policy comes with, every administration comes with its policy. We reviewed it. It was here in the National Assembly that we said across board, federal government should be taken because most of these GOEs don't remit. Even at the last week hearing, we have found out that a lot of these agencies either under remit or they don't even remit it. So I think there is need, and we have spoken with the Minister of Finance on that, because most of the approvals are coming from the Ministry of Finance. So we have spoken with him, but the Office of Accountant General, you are the one having the records of who has remitted and who has not. So we will appreciate you work with the Fiscal Responsibility Commission and update them with the current situation. We can understand MPA has an exemption, which other agency have exemption. And then we also look at it that the customs supposed to be taking 7% from non-oil. But by the time they generate other revenues, nothing goes to the CRF. No surplus. So it is only the Office of Accountant General that will give those details for us to be able to. We are doing budget defense now. I will have given you the opportunity to speak, but we are not doing investigative hearing, so you can't speak. So, except if it's something that will...
Yes, it's about customs, sir.
No. It's not here. We are doing budget defense now.
It's about purchase surplus and that's 7%.
No, but that's what I'm saying. We are looking at their office budget, not the entire revenue. I just use this as an avenue because she's here to... She couldn't attend last week to make it. And you can see from what we did last week, we have found out that there were so many loopholes, to the extent that even the budget office is not giving the right informations, right data from the GOEs. And what we did, we've been able to now get the GOEs to account for every kobo that they realized, and our revenue went up. Our revenue went up. By the time we present the reports, Nigerians will know how much revenue we will have lost in the 2025 appropriation. So with this, if it is the view of the committee, the Office of Accountant General of the Federation have given us their performances in 2024, and I believe that we are satisfied with what we have seen, and they have presented their 2025 budget proposal for recurrent expenditure. They have proposed for capital expenditure as well, and they have also made their 2025 revenue projection. If it is the view of the committee that we approved the total sum of 48,707,037,651.79. If we are to consider and approved, I will want one of us to at least propose that we adopt it, and then I'll come to your addition. Your addition we cannot unilaterally add here, but we can also approve that for you and make it in our report that based on that we have recommended to the appropriation committee to insert. Yes. So,
Distinguished Chairman, distinguished colleagues, Accountant General of the Federation, after carefully considering the submissions of the Accountant General and having been satisfied, I move that we accept the submission and adopt it for presentation to the Appropriation Committee. I so move.
Who seconds?
I so second, as ably moved.
Are you getting it? A motion has been moved and seconded by distinguished Senator Ningi. If that is the opinion of the committee, can we go ahead to approve the budget?
Yes.
So, your budget is approved.
With a caveat that we're going to
make recommendation for. Yes, I don't want to mention that because it's not yet a commitment.
But you have to give our hope.
So, what I know, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, already we have treated their budget in the Ministry of Finance budget. So, Fiscal Responsibility Commission, do you have budget? Well, you know, I've already discharged you.
Discharged, but not acquitted.